This is an example of using a clenching and grinding movie to isolate a painful tooth that the patient describes as only being bothersome during eating. Typically, the patient will explain that the tooth is sore during the act of chewing, but at no other times. In this case, the patient had 4 CEREC restorations placed on teeth numbers 12 to 15, inlays and onlays, and number 14 was a crown. And after the insertion of the crowns and the inlays, the patient was unable to chew on tooth number 14 without it hurting him, and he went back to his dentist, did make adjustments to tooth number 14, but was unable to resolve pain for the patient using conventional methods such as articulating paper only and visual observation of the occlusal surface of the crown. A clenching and grinding movie is made specifically to isolate a painful contact on a tooth that the patient describes as being sore to chewing rather than sore to biting down vertically. So when someone has a sore tooth to biting down vertically, you can record a multi-bite to isolate that contact. But if the tooth doesn't hurt to bite on and only hurts to chew, the best way to capture which contact is problematic is to use a clenching and grinding movie. And in this case, tooth number 14 is the tooth of concern. So to evaluate this movie for treatment, I'm going to close the active scans pane and open the force versus time graph. And in the force versus time graph, we have 2 distinct periods. An initial closure into MIP, maximum intercuspation, where the patient holds their teeth together, although there is some variability in him holding his teeth together. Then he opens at C, and then he begins to grind on his back teeth here in the second part of the graph. And what you're seeing here is the patient not at 100% force, as it would be in closure, but more near 50% force, grinding back and forth across their teeth. And as they do this, they're grinding more to the left side. That's the tooth that hurts them. And we ask the patient, before we record, to grind on the tooth and see if they can make it hurt. Routinely, they can if they do a single action. And in this case, it was grinding to the left. So we're going to start the movie here. I'm going to click into the mouse into the beginning of where the total force line rises. And we're going to watch the patient grind back and forth. And I'm going to play it incrementally. So here, they're closing into MIP, and now they're going to start to grind from about 50% of total force. And you'll see the center of force go left. Now I'm going to turn this 3-dimensional pane this way. Of note, in many of these recordings, not just this example, but in almost every example, there are teeth that take much more force that aren't painful. So in this case, tooth number 15 is taking much more force. Tooth number 2 is taking much more force. 14 is the sore tooth. So it's not to say that you may not adjust these other contacts, but generally you'll see that the painful tooth is not going to be the most forceful tooth. Here we'll continue on. As he grinds to the left, you see the mesiobuccal of 14 rapidly shoot up. And then as he grinds away from it, towards the right, which you can see the center of force will start moving away from tooth number 14 right there, and the force goes down on the mesiobuccal of tooth number 14. Then he reaches back near MIP. Now he's going to come back to his left, and what you see is the mesiobuccal rise to yellow and green, and yellow. And then as he moves away from it, it will decline, and as he moves back towards it, it rises. So the center of force will show you the direction the patient is moving. Watch it carefully go away from him, go away from tooth number 14 after it rises in force. Rises drastically in force, and now he moves back towards MIP. And that's what this circular loop is. Each time he moves towards 14, and each time he moves away 14. So the problem contact is the mesiobuccal. We'll do it once more. There he moves back towards 14. Now he opened. You see here the total force line dropped. Now he re-engaged. As he's going to attempt to do that, he moves again back towards the left side, and you see the mesiobuccal of tooth number 14 rise again. So this was the one tooth to be adjusted, this one contact. We marked tooth number 14 mesiobuccal. We had him grind back and forth across the articulating paper, and we relieved tooth number 14. So we re-recorded the same movie in order to see the change. Now the evaluation of the movie after the adjustment was made is again very similar. The patient bites down, holds their teeth together, and now they start to grind. So we will come to the point of where they start to grind. And now what we'd be looking for is that the center of force, when it moves towards 14, and we don't see a sharp force rise on the mesiobuccal. Turn this again. And we'll play the movie from here. And now his center of force has gone all the way left, and you don't see 14 mesiobuccal rise.